We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane. Welcome to another edition of the Parents' Lounge. It feels like it's been forever. I've been traveling and doing other stuff, and I'm coming back guns blazing, and we have a fantastic show for you tonight. I'm Jamie Kaler, and joined as always by my pal Jason Gowan.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How's life?
Oh, it's a crap-tastical week as usual. There we go. Back to basics for me.
Back to basics. Well, I'm excited. We just got back from spring break last week. Eight days, Colorado with the kids, and people are like, hey, how was your vacation? And I'm like, I didn't have a vacation. My kids had the greatest vacation of life. They went skiing, bike riding, rock climbing, hiking. It was like 70 degrees in Colorado. I was a driver. I financed the whole operation. I worked for 8 days. It was mildly fun. People were like, well, you got to ski. And I was like, well, I got to snowplow behind my two kids as they learned on the bunny trail for the day. So yeah, it was super, super fun.
All right, see, Hannah made a snowman.
Hannah made a snowman. You know what's funny? And I want to give a little shout out to my pals at 16600 because everyone's like, well, how was your vacation during spring break? And that wasn't really a vacation, but I did get up to the weekend before I went to 16600 because I hosted a crazy wine event. It was like a Grenache Fest, Phil Couturi, Rossi Ranch, and all these amazing winemakers were there. And I basically just hosted and was a jokester. And that was arguably the greatest weekend I've had in about...
So you had a mini vacay?
Had a mini vacay. That was the greatest weekend I've had in 9 years.
That was the weekend I was in LA.
I know. And you came
out. I did
to
get to see you twice, though, while I was out there, which was fun. We had our first Parents' Lounge family dinner where our kids all got to meet for the first time.
I know. It was super fun and super cool. And Kate Mulligan, I think she might try to jump in, but it's her son's birthday today. Is that right?
Yesterday, but I don't know. They had some stuff going on.
Neil's birthday, but I'm so excited to be back.
Kids, you know.
It's been a while since I got a lot off my chest, and we got Freddie B's already here, narcolepsy. Jamie,
Brandon,
are you being held
Jobo.
hostage?
I did Jobo's show on Sunday night where we got to play this murder trivia game, which was super fun. I had a great time. Jobo, thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun.
It's so funny. Jamie, are you being held hostage? And I just drank twice. I'll do it in Morse code. Brandon's here. Narcolepsy. Everybody's here. Well, we have a fantastic show. Let's bring our guest in so we can start talking about the shenanigans that I've noticed from this week in parenting. You want to give the props?
Well, I would very much like to. Our guest tonight is a gentleman who is 1/3 of the hosts of the Brooker Family Podcasts. Very funny cat. His wife has been on the show numerous times. She's also very funny. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us tonight, Mr. Chris Brooker.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Oh, it's great. He's on a serious lag. It's going to be really funny. Dude, do you guys have Wi-Fi from like the late 80s? Do you have dial-up? What's happening over there?
Our AOL dial-up is having some problems right now.
So it doesn't matter because everyone can hear you just fine. But when they watch
good.
this, they're gonna think they're super drunk. They're gonna go, dude.
No, it's like Max Headroom or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a little Max Headroom. Yeah. Well, Chris, now I understand that were you a DJ radio guy, music guy?
I'm a recovering radio DJ. I did radio basically throughout the 90s.
That's not even a thing anymore, right?
No, radio's barely a thing, I think. I think maybe you can tune into some terrestrial stations, but it's all satellite now.
It's all, and by the way, I think Sirius is going away, man. I don't.
You think so?
I do. I mean, does
Wait,
anyone?
What's going to replace it?
Give them so much money every
month.
month.
Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music. I don't know.
That's true.
SoundCloud.
No, I subscribe to all of those actually, so I'm not helping my cause.
No, you're not at all. Well, that's funny. Here's what I think it's great. So what was your when you played music, what kind of station was it?
I worked at a number of stations. I worked at indie, alternative. I programmed a top 40 station for a while. I even dabbled in classical music, if you can believe that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, the all-time greats, Vivaldi, Bach. I love them all. Yeah.
The greatest hits.
The greatest hits. That's funny. Well, listen, we have a question for you.
So bad.
Is that Heather in the back? Is Heather coaching you on this thing?
Yeah, that's me. I'm just worried about his Wi-Fi.
It's pretty bad.
As I find as I get older, I'm more technically inept.
You sound fine, but visually, you look like a puppet. It looks like Heather is using you as a human puppet and talking for you like a ventriloquist.
That's what we do.
That's story of my life.
Yeah.
Story of my life.
It's honestly crazy because you're not even like a fraction of a second off. You're a good 4 to 5 seconds off. It's pretty funny.
Okay, we're going to log off and I'm going to have him log on a different computer. Give us like 2 seconds, guys. We're going to log back on.
Okay.
I see who runs that family, and it's no different than my family, Chris. So just do what she says, and I'll see you in a few.
Thank you. I'm in good company.
Yeah, we're all hanging on by a thread. I put my kid. It was so funny. I went to go because I have to put my kids to bed. It was like a Freddie Beast. This is a classic kung fu movie, pretty much exactly. It's Tuesday, so I had to feed my kids, put them to bed, and then they were in bed reading. But the room's a train wreck, and they said, "Do we have to be in bed?" I said, "No, you can stay out of bed if you clean your room." So I'm really intrigued to see what will happen when I finish this show and I go in the other room.
Let's take bets. What do you think is going to happen?
The room will be actually messier. It will be it'll be way messier. Yeah. They're terrible. Really? They're terrible children. They don't do. They just everywhere they go. Claire came home from soccer practice last night, and I looked in the bathroom. And it was like she sat on the toilet and then took all of her clothes off because it was like the toilet had overflowed and she used her clothes to kind of soak up the water around the toilet because it was like she melted, like she was the Wicked Witch of the West on the toilet, and she melted, and then her clothes just melted around the edge of the toilet. I was like, how did you you actually had to put effort in to and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll eat food off of a ground and stuff. Like I'm kind of disgusting, but that to me is like the base of a toilet. You know, when you're like in college and you're throwing up and you're like, just the thought of like touching the edge of the toilet is so god awful. She just puts her clothes it's like she's like wrapping them like she's insulating the toilet in her clothing. It's really awful.
Honestly, Jace does a very similar thing, except at our house, it's all dudes here. So like our toilet looks like Mount St. Urine, and it's so he comes away and he'll walk away and the back of his pants will have where he's touched the toilet bowl and he's covered in piss. And I have to deal with this every day. And my wife is getting fed up because Jace, I don't recall me ever just spraying like a wild sprinkler system all over the toilet. Like, I don't think that was ever me. Like, I feel like I was fairly neat. Have I missed once in a while? Sure. We all have.
At home, I sit down.
Well,
Am
I
I
do
the
now.
only
Ever
guy who
since you
does that?
introduced me to that, I do now.
Who doesn't sit down in their own home? Like, I'm always amazed. Like, I never pee outside the toilet because I sit down. Girls don't realize how gross it is because they don't miss. I don't miss either, Jobo. Dude, you know how to not miss? Get closer to the target. That's it. So if you're, I'm grabbing a seat. I'm pulling my guitar out. I just play it. Jason, you need to make
Narcolepsy
some
has the
Iron
solution.
Man contraptions for this situation. We made one before. It was, what do we call it?
The shiwi.
The shiwi or the
Shiwi, no, sheenus. We called it a sheenus.
We called it a sheenus, which I can't remember.
Shiwi
All right,
was the actual name, but somebody who might be able to weigh in on the urine situation. Chris Brooker has returned.
I'm back, everybody.
Oh, and he's in sync.
I'm actually moving. It's fine. I can see myself move. Everything's good now. As far as sitting down is concerned, I'm totally on board because you're right. It is closer. Less spillage. It's also just more comfortable. I mean, let's be honest.
If they had a toilet where you could lay down, I would get one.
I wouldn't. I'd never leave the bathroom. I would never.
And you would lay down, and it would be like a massage table where they'd have the hole in the front too for your face because you'd have to lay face down. And then there would be like 2 hole. It would be a massage table, but it would be a 2-hole massage table, and you would just lay down, and then just let it go, man.
Like a peeing luge sled.
I'm going to tell you right now, too, also because of your position and gravity, probably not going to need to, do too excessive shaking. I'm going to say because everything's just hanging right there down, I'm going to say it all comes out to the last drop.
It's quieter also. You're not making splashing noises.
Yeah.
The Jobo double glory hole, as he called it.
No plopping. We have no plopping when we're sitting, and it's muffled. So there you go.
Well, I guess
I love this. It's fantastic.
You couldn't, I don't think you could do it for number 2. You couldn't do that laying down. It would just not, it wouldn't work right.
It would take practice.
They have like those weird new seats like that you can sit that like alters the way your body is. So it's for easier dropping off the kids at the pool.
Well,
isn't that potty squatty.
Yeah,
squatty potty. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, that just brings your legs up so you can really get some abdominal, pelvic thrust into there.
Well, apparently it positions your innards a certain way, so it just comes out better, I guess. I don't know.
Have you ever gone in the ocean?
Number 1 or number 2?
Well, everyone's gone number 1. Have you ever gone number 2 in the ocean?
No, but I did in a river one time.
Okay, so it's a body of water.
Yeah, it's a body. It was moving too, so it moved away from me. It was downstream. So.
That sounds fantastic. If you had like a little, like a mesh, you know how like guys they put their beers in like a mesh net and then drop it in the river as they're fishing. If you had something like that, you could just hold on to, and then let the water roll over you as you discharged waste.
As you vacate.
Vacate. Thank you. That would be magic. I went in the ocean one time. I've gone in the ocean. I'm not proud of it. But it was like there was nowhere to go, and I was at the beach, and it was like, I had a serious internal conversation with myself about, animals, fish do it, so what's the difference?
Might as well.
And I swam out far enough so that it wouldn't like make it. I mean, I'm sure it made it to shore eventually, but it was very liberating. It was very liberating. It all worked. It all worked.
No, I like what you say about, fish do it, sharks do it, whales do it. Much bigger than us, by the way. So, it's literally.
Well, the sharks and fish will not be arrested if they get caught doing it.
Well.
Wait, you're telling me it's a crime to go in the ocean?
I think if you're in a public beach, yeah.
Only if people see you.
Yeah.
I mean, because your bottom part is under.
Yeah, Chris is right.
Have them prove
I pee on the beach. So what I do is I go down. I'm just going to go take in the water. But I don't want to get wet that day. So I just sit like looking out at the ocean, just maybe a few feet away from where the waves are coming up to. Yep. And then I just kind of, I just kind of slide everything over and slide and just, move over, slide out. And I dig a little hole in the sand and then go. And then then that's it. That's my
No,
time
I've
with
done that
the
in pools before, where I'll go and I'll just sit on the steps. I don't want to get too wet. I don't want to get really in the pool, so I'll just sit on the steps
Yeah.
and just no, get away from me, get away from me. It's getting warm.
No, in the
I
pool,
just-
that whole
I
water turning
stand-
green if you pee in there is a smoke screen. The parents have been lying
Hey,
about that.
Is that a real thing? I've never seen that. There is no such thing, right? No, I don't even go in the pool. I just stand next to it and just pee in it, just like a fountain, like a cherub boy in a fountain.
Got your wings on, and you're just I can
So,
see that.
Chris, you're a DJ. What's your
I
favorite
am, I
classical?
was.
What's your favorite classical song?
I don't. Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade. How's that for a random one?
That's pretty great. That's pretty. Yeah, I don't have an argument with that.
Pull that out.
Freddie B says I already get sand everywhere. I can't imagine it in my colon. Why is it in your? Why would I put it in my colon? What arrested? Haha! I pee 7 times every time I go to the beach. Yes, it's just a steady.
7 times.
Everybody does. Please, it's just urine. A lot of baseball players, they would pee on the guy. Jorge Posada from the Yankees was known to pee on his hands because it was toughen up his hands. Apparently, he was a catcher. I mean, maybe a true story.
This show went in a direction today.
This is taking off here.
Yeah, it's blowing up. Hey, so here's my gag for you. I want to pick the greatest dad songs of all time, and I heard you're kind of a music a music savant. So I made a little list of some of my favorite dad songs, and they don't have to be like positive dad songs because I found out there's a lot of negative dad songs.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can think of a couple.
Well, let's talk about them. Let's go right down the list and start talking about what's your favorite dad songs.
Well, I mean, you first got to go back in time a bit for Cat's Cradle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's on my list. That's on my list.
That's just one of the penultimate ones. And then just off the top of my head, I'm a child of the 90s. I worked in alternative radio in the 90s. Everclear's Father of Mine.
Dude, that's the one. I didn't think he'd get that one.
Yep,
it's such a negative song. It's such a sad.
One I thought of, actually. But yeah,
Me too. It was Father of Mine. Yep. And it basically says, you were the greatest. I remember being on your shoulders. You took me to the beach. We had great times. Hey, where did you go?
What happened to you? Why did you screw us over? Yes.
I would argue, though, that we've talked about this a lot about, like, everyone wants to be the greatest parent of all time. But some of the most successful people on earth, their father deserted them, when they were like newborn babies. So in a way, was that dude's father a great father for leaving because he went on to become a successful musician? You know what I mean?
Okay. Who in particular are you talking about?
Gosh, who are some successful people who grew up in like broken families? I mean, there's a ton. I can't even.
Robert Downey Jr. turned it around.
Yeah.
You mean he was a bad father, or he was a?
His own father was
from a bad family.
Yeah, he came from bad and then turned it around with his own.
He was a huge producer, though, so he was kind of in the Hollywood circle. I mean, kids who like grew up and they go, my mother worked like 4 jobs. I want to say like even LeBron James or some, there's a lot of athletes who's like, my mother worked. Say again?
You never hear about dads working 4 jobs. You always hear about the mom doing all the work to support, but you never hear about the dads,
Oh, that's right. That's true.
But in a way, to make that child successful, that father had to desert. I mean, he deserted his own child, and that's hard to do too. So maybe in a way, the father giving up being a good father made that kid successful.
I think deserting your child is a lot harder than people make it out to be. I think it's a lot more work than you realize.
It used to be a running joke in my house.
Your
My
mail
father,
eventually.
Anytime there was like, my father was losing it, and there was a meltdown in the house, my father would be like, my mom's name is Peg. And he'd go, Peg, I'm going out for a pack of smokes. Not sure I'm coming back. But he came back. So it's so funny Narcolepsy says that because Jason didn't know the song Tears in Heaven.
Okay.
And we were, yeah.
Well, and I knew the song, I just didn't know the connotations of about the song.
Well, typically people write. Yeah, go ahead. Chris, talk about that song for a second because it's intense.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm correct, and I couldn't be mistaken, please correct me. Tears in Heaven is about Clapton's son who tragically fell out of a balcony window, I believe. when he was like 1 or 2 or very young. And
Very
so that
young.
song is like a tribute to his son. Very sad. Very sad.
Very sad, because typically most of the songs are about the artist's father. That one's to his son, and it was like I actually saw something about it, and the window was so crazy. It had no screen, no thing on it, and it was low, and it was in the hallway, like
Wow.
near the elevators, and it was on like the 50th floor, and the kid went out, and I was like, oh. Here's what's crazy about that. He was a horrible drug addict, alcoholic or whatever, and he was sober. He had been sober for a while, and then that happened, and he maintained his sobriety.
That must be tough.
We were talking about it earlier. I was like, I don't think I could have. I think I would have gone Leaving Las Vegas. I would have been total Nick Cage, and hopefully I find Elizabeth Shue, but probably not. Probably not.
Hooker with a heart of gold. Yeah.
Or
and
Jamie
Elizabeth
makes
Shue.
sweet love to one of those guys who are all painted gold on the strip that just are standing around.
Plus, she's Elizabeth Shue. I think you're missing the whole point of Elizabeth Shue. It's not some crazy.
But you're not. I mean, are you going to pull Elizabeth Shue, or are you going to pull the Gold Man?
Oh, dude, Elizabeth Shue. Come on, Karate Kid, please.
Yeah.
By the way, hey, this is super interesting. When I was in wine country, I was talking earlier, Chris, I hosted this crazy wine event in Sonoma. And one of the vineyards was Cayman Vineyard. Jamie, she would look like Elizabeth Shue until the morning. That's all. Listen, I'll be gone by the morning. I won't survive till the morning. Cayman Vineyards. And it's Mark Kamen who wrote Karate Kid. And he also wrote Taken. Like, it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he wrote the Karate Kid. And he took all that money. And he went and started a vineyard. And I mean, it was the whole vineyard is gorgeous. And these guys are up there. I really if I could do it all over again, I'd be a huge trust fund kid and start a vineyard. I really would. I really missed my calling in life.
You really had a good time up there, huh?
Dude, it was glorious. Yeah. I don't know if Paul's watching or any of the guys, Sam Katuri, but we had such a good time.
Wine country is beautiful.
It was a lot of wine, a lot of good wine. And it's crazy when you drink really good wine, you don't get that hungover. It's weird.
No, you don't, because it's good. Yeah. It's good wine. It's not Boone's Farm.
Chris, I can't believe you chose Everclear. It's so funny. So were you
speaking of bad alcohol, Everclear, yeah.
Your station was 90s rock.
It was.
Did you have those guys come into the station to do, like, when they were in town doing their tour?
I never had Everclear in studio, but we had a lot of local bands and stuff like that. I mean, I ran a small station in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and we were the only indie at the time. We were the only college rock indie alternative station when that whole scene started in the state of Oklahoma, and I was music director at the time. In fact, if I can brag, Rolling Stone magazine voted us one of the top 500 indie stations in the country that didn't suck when I ran.
That's awesome, dude.
Back in like 98, 97, 98 or something like that. It was great. So yeah, we had a lot of local bands and stuff like that. We had a lot of phoners, things like that. I think I interviewed bands like, Matchbox 20 and, Tonic and, Third Eye Blind and, and Bush and stuff like that. Ween. We had a good interview with Ween one time, if you're familiar with them. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So much fun.
I love Bush. I still play a lot of that stuff. That's super funny because back in the day, like, kids today don't even realize that's how people found music.
Yes.
Like nowadays they're just circling stuff on SoundCloud or whatever. But back then,
it's whatever the trending audio on TikTok is.
That's true too. That's true. I mean, the landscape has changed so much. Back then, we didn't have socials. We didn't have the kids these days. We didn't have the TikTok. And you're right, the trending sounds and things like that. It was music that we played on the radio. And, when you start freeforming it on the radio and someone calls you up and says, I haven't listened to you for the last hour, everything you've played is awesome. That's just a boost to your ego. It just feels good.
I've been listening to, is it Jack FM?
Yeah, Jack FM's cool.
Which is LA, which is basically the same station you had in Oklahoma.
Pretty much.
They're basically playing the same songs, but it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that song. I forgot about that.
They're all over the place too. Yeah, I love Jack FM.
That's super funny, dude.
Yeah.
I have a song that means something to me that's kid related. Sheryl Crow adopted her first child.
Okay.
And so Lullaby for Wyatt is the song she did about adopting her son. And for me, it means a lot because in the song she kind of talks about, is she going to mess this up? Is she going to mess up this kid's life? So that one, as somebody who did adopt, my wife's son, that one kind of hit home to me. So that's one that I've always kind of liked and held on to.
Oh, that's great.
I would never have picked you as a Sheryl Crow fan.
Honestly, other than that one song, no.
There's actually a song that I love too. It's about my daughter. When I think about my daughter, it's an artist by the name of Rufus Wainwright. You may have heard of him.
Rufus Wainwright.
He has a song called "Daughter," and it goes, that's my daughter in the water. She learned everything I taught her. It's just a beautiful song about his love for his daughter, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I've been listening to it ever since she was born, basically.
That's so funny. So Jobo came up with Keith. I saw that one too because I ended up Googling after I came up with my list. And Keith Urban, Song for Dad. And basically every single country artist has one song about like, when I was a boy, my dad took me down to the river in the truck with his backwards hat, and we shared a beer and went fishing. Loved my dad, but then he left. Like it goes something like that. Pretty much every.
At some point, he went to jail, and there was a pickup truck, and yeah.
And they definitely ended up down by the river. Something happened down by the river.
All down by the river.
That is
in a van down by the river.
In a van down by the river.
Oh, I was going with Springsteen down by the river. That's so funny. The
Anytime I hear
one,
down
dude,
by the river, I go full Chris Farley. It's just
I couldn't even hear the Tears in Heaven for a long time after I heard that story. Here's one of my favorites.
I never heard that until you said it earlier tonight. I didn't know that.
He goes, "If I saw you in heaven," because it's after the little boy passes away. He talks about meeting him in heaven. No, I'm gonna cry just talking about it.
I never put that together. I mean, I've known the song.
It's so beautiful.
Didn't know where it came from.
Listen to it again now. With that, knowledge of the origin, and it means that much more. It's pretty powerful.
It's pretty powerful song, and the guitar is so crazy good. I remember him playing it at the Grammys, and everyone was like, "Duh."
Yeah.
Just melting down. But I'm still like, the fact that he maintains sobriety, I don't.
That's incredible.
I mean, I got caught in traffic a little bit today, and I had to have a drink. So I don't know how you get through that. Anyway, here was one of mine. Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Okay.
The Temptations, which I love.
You're going back there. You're digging in the crates.
Wherever he laid his hat was his home. I always love. Like it's again a song about like an absent father driving people. It was funny too because there wasn't a lot of daughters songs, and John Mayer has one called "Daughters." Right? Do you know the John Mayer song?
Yeah,
he's like,
John Mayer.
"Fathers, be good to your daughters" or something, which made me laugh because I don't think he has any kids, and he's banged a lot of daughters. So I'm not sure if he's talking to the fathers to go, "Hey, listen, I'm coming to town.
Coming for your daughters.
I'm coming for your daughters," is basically what I'm saying. So be good to them. Because I'm leaving town in about 2 days, but the damage will be done. I think is what he's saying.
The story's Way by Fastball. I do know that story.
I don't know that story.
I don't know it.
If I'm correct, and Darren, please correct me. Wasn't it about an elderly couple that just they wandered off during a camping trip or something like that? I believe that's kind of the loose genesis of that song. I think.
Wait, what? Say it again. They wander off?
They wandered off of like either a camping trip or a road trip or something like that. They got up in the morning and just kind of walked away.
Oh, where were you going without ever knowing?
Without ever knowing the way. It's meant an elderly couple that disappeared. Yep.
And they never know that either. They're never found, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So who knew fastball goes deep. They're like, setting up
pop rock.
Yeah. I mean, they were honestly the origin of true crime fiction. Really feels like Fastball. Sounds like Fastball might have a podcast coming pretty soon. He goes, they left without packing. Creepy. What do you mean they were murdered and eaten? Come on. I mean, I think the story.
That's what happens.
They didn't just wander away.
And Heather said Father Figure by George Michael.
Oh, great one.
Love. So
There
we
you
were
go.
playing. I was playing Jack FM today on the way to school. Faith came on. Ching, 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 chicka, chicka, ching. And then on the way home, when I picked the kids up, Wham! Wake Me Up Before You Go came on. So my kid had a George Michael bookend today to and from school, and she was like, "Is that the same guy from the?" I go, "It is." And she liked Wham! Wake Me Up Before You Go. Don't leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Beautiful Boys on my list, Jobo. That's a
I
good
was
one.
actually just thinking about that too. Every time I hear "Beautiful Boy" by John Lennon, I think. You ever seen the movie Mr. Holland's Opus?
Oh, I cry every time. I sob.
He signs that song to his deaf son.
Yep.
In the movie after John Lennon died, and it was like, just tears rolling down the face.
I mean, look, it's like music teacher, and then he has a deaf son. You're like, oh, it's I can't even.
Gut wrenching.
Gut wrenching.
I like that movie a lot more than I probably thought I should have. Really good stuff, though.
I do too. I think that's one of those movies where you're like, it sucks you in. There, it's like in the Dead Poet Society vibe of like, and as a dad now, like it's so funny because a lot of those movies I saw before I had kids, and I didn't really get it.
Right.
You go, oh, I get it, but you don't. And then all of a sudden you become a parent, and then you're like, oh, I'm not going to make it through this thing.
Well, I'm that way with those holiday commercials, and the soldier's son comes home, or the soldier daughter comes home, or or something like that. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I would do that. I would cry.
That's one of the jokes on my album where I'm like, I had kids, and then I started crying at Lowe's commercials where I was like, the kid came home and built a shed for his father. I can't even for Christmas. I'm not going to make it. Wait, is All My Love about kids? Narcolepsy?
That I didn't know.
Big Fish is a good dad. That's like one of my wife's favorite movies is Big Fish. We're not even at movies yet. It's so
Ewan
funny.
McGregor, right? That's an early Ewan McGregor movie, isn't it?
It is with Albert Finney.
Albert, yeah, that's it.
And it's Tim Burton. It's a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
is it really?
Yeah, that was a Tim Burton movie. Yeah,
that was one of Tim Burton's more understated Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, where he has those occasionally. We're like, that was Tim Burton.
Yeah,
I just did that. I was like, wait, that was Burton.
Dude, I had that the other night because I was watching the very first Mission Impossible. Do you know who directed the very first Mission Impossible? Brian De Palma.
Really?
It's a Brian De Palma film, The Untouchables and all. And then he did the very first Mission Impossible. And when you watch it, you totally see it. You're like, oh, yeah, the Brian De Palma movie. You can feel, Jobo says you can feel the Burton. You can always feel the Burton.
Yep. Yeah. Once you know it's Burton, you're like, oh, yeah, that's Burton.
That's funny.
For sure.
Here's one. Papa Don't Preach.
Oh.
There you go. Well, I mean, and in the same vein, I think, girls just want to have fun too. In that same time frame where she's talking to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think
who's being represented by Captain Lou Albano.
Exactly. With
exactly.
a band in his cheek. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. We're dating ourselves here a little bit. So.
I've always dated myself though. It's okay. I don't care. And they can say, "Oh, you're a boomer," or whatever. Listen, it was better. I just watched 60 Minutes the other night. I'm at that age where it's like, hey, what's on 60 Minutes? And should I get the thermos or the tote bag with my AARP card? It's all cool. And maybe a reverse mortgage is right for me. It's gonna be fine.
I've been getting AARP mail since I was like in my 30s, like early 30s, and I've always been confused by that.
Wait, how do you get on their radar? Like, at what point do they like?
What's weird is I'm getting notices.
You live to 40. That's how you get on their radar. Once you live to 40, they find you. Trust me.
I've never received anything.
You haven't?
Notices from funeral homes, which is
who's really aggressive with trying to get me involved is Chewy.com. Man, it's like every other day I get stuff from them in the mail. They are relentless.
So I kept blowing off AARP. I did join. I joined AARP, and now they barrage me with emails every day telling me where I can have savings. Like,
wait,
10%.
Did you take the phone or the tote bag?
I took the tote bag. I did join, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I joined. Here's why. And it was the craziest thing. I didn't know this, and Chris, maybe you know this. I was talking to a realtor because we were, we always talk about. Do you guys have a wife who doesn't look at Zillow like all day?
All day.
Like, here's a small city in Idaho we should move to. What? And so, we were talking, and this realtor I was talking to he goes, I don't know if you know this, but if you're over 50 or 55, one time only, you can move and keep your tax rate from the house you move from to the new home. So say you went and bought a way more expensive house. I don't know if this is true. I'd love to hear from some of our people if they know this, if anyone knows this. But apparently, say you live in a really cheap place in the tax rate and you want to like buy a bigger place, you can take the tax rate from your first house to your second house one time only after. And then I was like, oh, and he goes, I think you have to be a member of AARP. And so I joined AARP. And
just for that.
even though we're not moving, I was like, oh, I guess I should join. I should join.
In case you got that in your back pocket.
So I got that.
No,
which I thought was pretty interesting. And it makes sense because as a senior, people are listed as, you're on a very fixed income.
Yeah.
And so to be able to move your tax rate would make sense for a one-time deal. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested.
My wife doom scrolls Zillow all the time. And, we live in SoCal and just, it's ridiculous house prices. You can get a 800 square foot house for, $1.3 million.
Yeah.
And it's a fixer upper at that. And
it's a tear down.
And it's just like, it's so depressing. It's so depressing.
Yeah. Oh, it's all depressing. I watched it. So I was watching 60 Minutes anyway before, and that was the transition, but they were talking about AI and like Chat GPT and how he sat there and he just said, give me a story like this, and thing went bang. And here it was like a doctoral thesis basically written out.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I haven't utilized it like to its fullest, but I've gone on and I've typed stuff in, and I was like, wow, it just gave me 800 words about fish or whatever for some reason. And yeah,
what's a fun thing? Ask it to write a 500-word essay about you, and it'll scour the internet for like these hilarious. Like it's pretty interesting. Wow. I did it, and it did a pretty good job. It did put me in some television shows I did not do, but it for the most part knew the course of my trajectory pretty well. It mentioned this show by name, and it did like a whole kind of thing. So it was pretty well done. I mean, I was very impressed.
That's
amazing.
And a little scary.
They did it on 60 Minutes. They did some. He goes up and he brought it up, and it listed books. It listed like 5 books. Really specifically, and then they researched it and it made up the books. Like the books weren't real books. It had just made up what it thought you wanted to hear or something. Like it was crazy.
Just a fictional account of books of these.
Yeah, it just made up fake things and said they were real.
So like every paper I wrote in college.
Well, I think that's what they're worried about now, is that this is going to be used for those papers in college. It is going to be used for stuff like that, and people are freaking out.
Well, my question is, what if you're a child in school, what is your incentive to learn anything? Like
now, yeah.
Like who do you really need to know who invented the car? Do you need to know the Wright brothers made the airplane? Or because if somebody goes, do you know who made the airplane? The kid goes, yeah, it's the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, and they were in da-da-da-da-ding-ding-dong. And eventually they'll go back. It'll be like a little chip right here, and it'll be the matrix, which just plugs into the back of your head or whatever.
Well, do you need to learn cursive for that matter either anymore? Yet they still
need to learn to write. My kids don't. I mean, they won't ever write. They'll talk to text, I think, won't they?
No, mine's got the worst.
Well, they even have the thing now where it'll write a cursive signature for you if you type it out.
Yeah, that's true. The electronic signatures. You're absolutely right. Yeah, unnecessary.
Honestly,
I can't say anything. There's a fully functioning AI me out there right now.
Yeah, tell Chris about that, and tell everybody what's going on with that, because that's still like the coolest thing that's happened to us in a long time. That's really cool, dude.
So my wife had a stroke after our twins were born, and then I got sick 3 months later, and both of us almost passed away. So I started looking for. I was watching Superman Man of Steel, and I was like, the part where he goes into the Fortress of Solitude and he's talking to his dad, and it's just the hologram of him. And I was like, somebody has come up with this in AI. So I started Googling, and I found a company called You Only Virtual that legitimately was beta testing that very thing. And we started working with them. And that's why I was in LA a couple of weeks ago. They just did their brand launch, and they have created a fully functioning AI me that chats with my son or us. I mean, we can talk to it as well. They're building them for each member of our family in case something happens in that unfortunate way that does. And it's pretty crazy how close to my voice and cadence and my style of jokes, all of it is very, it's pretty crazy.
Well, where do they pull that information? Where do they pull that stuff from? Just like video examples of you?
We upload interviews, we upload video. It pulled, interestingly enough, Jamie, and I don't think I talked to you about this. It pulled some of the stand-up of you and I. So it knew you and I were friends, and it talked about it with Jace.
Wow.
So we had to correct it because I do a bit about how my son walked in on my wife dressed as Catwoman, and it was making the jokes to him. So we had to be like, whoa, you got to pump the brakes, AI.
Can we give credit to Jobo's joke really quick? Because I said, yeah, tell him about it. It's the coolest thing that's happened to us in a while. And you went, well, my wife had a stroke. And I was like, That's the beauty of having a live audience, Chris. They don't hold back. Nothing goes unchecked, man. If you stumble on 1 second, they will, especially like our crew, Jobo and Narcolepsy, will light you up.
I love them, but I hate them at the same time.
It's like I used to be like that with my friends in college. If you were like, hey man, I'm gonna go to the cafeteria. Like they go, cafeteria? You going to the cafeteria? And like for the rest of the day, you'd be the cafeteria guy because you missed
the whole semester.
That's the Boston mentality of really effing with somebody.
No, that's like the whole junior high mentality. Something happens to you, you're that thing for your entire scholastic career until you go away to college.
I told my daughters about this because nicknames like, oh my God, dude. Kids torment each other. And so I've had so many lectures with my daughters about because she'll go yesterday we were singing with my daughter. When she was a little girl, we used to make up this song. Her name's Claire. And the song went, Claire in her underwear, walks around like she don't care. All the boys, they stop and stare at Claire in her underwear. And she hates it. I can't sing it anymore. So we started singing it yesterday, and my other daughter, Hannah, started singing it, and Claire lost her Yes, Trisha, nicknames suck, especially when they weren't the one you chose. Like Sting chose his, apparently, right? That's a Dana Carvey bit where he's like, I'm going to be called Sting from now on. And everyone's like, what? But so we kept singing that song, and so Claire lost her mind. I said, Claire, what's the trick? If somebody says something about you don't like, what do you do? And she's like, ignore it. But it's really hard. I go, it is hard. We had I used to bartend at O'Brien's in Santa Monica, and one of my buddies, Paul, his name's Paul, and he one day they were all drinking beers, and it wasn't even him. Somebody else spilled the beer on the table. It went off his edge of the table and got all over his lap. And he had wet pants. He had wet pants.
Yeah.
And one of the other Irish guys, because that's the big thing with them. They like the rhymings nickname. They just make up nicknames. Because I was the token Yank. I was the only American bartender. They were all Irish. And so they called me the token Yank. And that became the Sherman Tank. So I was my nickname was the Sherman Tank. And I was like, what? And they go, it's because it's a rhyme thing. That's a big British thing or something. So they kept nicknaming everybody. So the beer spills on his lap. And the one dude goes, hey, look at you, boy. You need fucking diaper there. And then from then on, his nickname was Diapers. That was it. And it never changed. For the next 10 years, that dude's nickname was, hey, Polly Diapers. He was Polly Diapers.
Wait, is this Winery 16600, Paul?
No, this was at O'Brien's in Santa Monica. He was Polly Diapers. And then Polly, it's the word Polly went away. And then for the last few years, it was just Diapers. And so we'd all be at the bar and people would be saying hey, Diapers. And then girls would be like, is that guy's name Diapers? I go, no, it's Paul. But
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, nobody knew him. If you go, hey, do you see Paul? People go, who? And they go, Diapers. And everyone go, oh yeah, he went out the back. You're like, you just can't get away from a terrible nickname.
You're stuck with it.
you have to ignore it. When somebody nicknames you, you just have to just go or go, yeah, I love that nickname or something, because they're the worst, man.
They used to call you the Bionic Woman, right?
My name's Jamie, so I was Jamie Summers.
Okay, of course.
Talk about dating
It
ourselves.
took me a second. It took me a second to get there.
Yeah, I was Lindsay Wagner, so I was Jamie Summers, and then I was Jamie's Crying was Van Halen. That was like,
And
some
then
of the guys in
eventually
the Navy
you
tried
had
to
a
torment
gun.
me. "Ooh, they were like Jamie's Crying," and I'd be like, I guess. I mean, I like Van Halen, so sure.
Sure, why not? Okay, well, my last name is Brooker, and so I played basketball in high school. So Brooker, of course, became Bricker. You know, when you when you
That's a
brick,
good one.
you know, and
That's
that
actually a
lasted,
good one, dude. That's a good nickname.
that lasted for years. And to this day, my wife still calls me that sometimes.
Jason, what did you get? You get nicknames as a kid?
I just got really inappropriate slurs I can't say on this show.
Okay, all right. You don't want it to stick. I had another one, Jumping Jimmy, but that was kind of a positive thing because I could jump in high school before a long time ago.
Okay.
Now I look up at a 10-foot rim. I'm like, how did I think I
You're
dunked a basketball.
Yeah.
I dunked a volleyball in high school, and I
never
I
had
couldn't even
like
touch
a
the net
nick.
now.
Like nobody ever gave. Well, wait. What nicknames did I have?
Yeah, Trisha, what nicknames did he have?
I'm actually curious because I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh, these are.
I mean, like people call me Gal based on my last name, but I don't.
Joe Bo says punch them in the mouth. No,
You know?
Yeah,
Boy,
what-
our
yeah,
crew's
what nicknames?
our crew's on fire tonight.
they are kind of riffing hard, dude. Oh, here's our other one, dude, Chris. And here I have a question for you. So we have Billie Jean as one of the dad songs,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I never thought about that,
So-
but yeah, of course.
Billie Jean
It's not
is
my
not my child.
not
Not my kid.
girl. She's just
Not my kid. She's just a girl who thinks I am the one, right? Is
thinks
that the
I am the
song?
one, right?
And now looking back, of course, with Michael Jackson singing it, we're all like, yeah, dude, we know. Yeah, we got it. She's not your kid.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir. But have you ever heard Chris Cornell's cover of Billie Jean? Anybody?
No, but I bet you it's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. And I like it better than the original because it makes more sense with Chris Cornell singing it.
I heard it after we talked. You are not
look
wrong.
up
It's
after.
It's
really
good, right?
It's
All
really
right, so
good.
everybody out there tonight after the show, Chris Cornell, Billie Jean cover.
Well, I love his cover of "Nothing Compares to You."
Dude,
It's
he
gut-wrenching.
covered everything, by the way.
it's
The
amazing.
dude, it's still every time I hear him sing, I cry a little bit. It
One of the
bums
best
me out.
voices in
Ever.
rock music. Yeah,
Yeah.
in rock music.
And to have that gift and then be like, yeah, I'm done. You're like, dude, what are you doing? Can't control it. Just can't
Gone
control
too
it.
soon.
Yeah.
Man. You know, yeah.
I know. It's such a drag. But I love his cover of that song.
I'll have to look for it. Yeah, I honestly haven't.
Oh, you want to bring the man in, the
I
myth?
will bring him in.
Chris, can you stay? We have another guest who's coming in.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a dad fest tonight. I love it.
David.
Hey guys, how are you?
Schrader's got a halo. Are you an angel tonight? I love the
I like to-
setup. It's
I
like
like
a
to think
skull
so.
and then a
What's
halo.
up, Beyonce? How you doing, baby?
How are you guys?
Good, man. Good.
Hi, Dave. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Yo,
to see
Chris,
you,
this
Chris.
is
Chris,
Dave
Dave.
Schrader. He's our old pal, and Chris is Heather Brooker's significant other.
That's what I go by. That's on my card, my business card. It's actually I hand
Heather
back.
Brooker's significant other.
Yeah,
Boy,
that's my title, my official
That's
title.
that's a long title.
Formerly
on a
known
little
as
business
Bricker.
card.
It works for me. Yeah,
Bricker.
Bricker. It's in
Nice.
quotes. Bricker is in between.
Dave, what are
we
your favorite parenting songs? Like songs that relate to, parenting.
Songs that relate to parenting.
You know, like
Father
like-
and Son by Cat
Yeah.
Stevens. Cats
Oh, sure.
Cats in the Cradle.
Okay, all right. Let's see. I've got Daddy's Song from the Monkees, which was written by oh gosh, what is his name? I want to say it's Harry Chapin, but I don't believe that's it. Harry Nilsson, I think is it.
That's so funny because Neil Diamond wrote a bunch of their songs.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, but he also wrote the theme to the Courtship of Eddie's Father, and I love that theme song too. So because I was my first child that I knew about was my son, so it was very me and him against the world. So I was very Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Do you guys have songs that remind you of when your child was born?
Yeah, Hell's Bells.
I'll tell you mine because Up All Night was Up All Night by Pharrell Williams was big. I think it was number one the week Hannah was born.
Okay.
And so she would be a little baby and we'd be singing, and she was staying up all night. And we'd be like, up all night for good fun, up all night to get some. No, Pharrell Williams.
Ours was Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. It was like the number one song in the nation at the time my daughter was born. And it stuck. And now she's a huge Imagine Dragons fan. So it's carried. I'm not even a big fan of that band. It's just, that's her song.
So your song that you equate to your daughter is about a post-apocalyptic world.
It's fitting, actually. If you knew my daughter, yeah, that would.
Hey, I have 4 daughters. I'm on your side, Chris. I know.
You've never seen her room or the bathroom when she's done with it. That's fitting. That works.
Yeah. Mine was the Benny Hill theme song when the twins were born.
Bicycle without the seat and pedal away.
I always thought Benny Hill was very funny, but let's face facts. When you were that young, you were watching it basically just to see if some girl took her top off. I mean,
Exactly.
it's the same, like Monty Python was fantastic and hilariously funny, but then somebody would take their top off and you'd be like, this is even better than I imagined it could be.
I'm allowed to watch this? This is fantastic.
This is on PBS? This is insanity.
Yeah.
Right? My mom's like, oh, it's fine. He's downstairs watching PBS late on a Sunday night. Because I'd roll from Doctor Who into Monty Python, into the Benny Hill show, into the Kenny Everett show. It was just boobs all night long. So, yeah.
Totally.
I was probably in 5th or 6th grade and we'd be going to school playing, and we'd be reciting number 5, The Larch. And now for something completely different. Yeah, we totally grew up on that thing. That's Heather peeking in the background.
Yeah, she was
Somebody had
yeah.
That made it so much less weird.
It was I was watching you behind me and I was like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Kayla, what are you doing?
I'm looking at my list. I'm looking at my list of songs that I made.
Oh, I also made a list, but I've lost it.
Yeah.
See, has this hit you guys yet? I'm going to be 56 this year.
I just turned 50 like a few days
music ago. Hits me differently now. Like I'll listen to Mike and the Mechanics in the living years, and I'm like, if I'm in the car by myself, I'm bawling, and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Me too.
And there are songs like if I hear it coming on, I got to turn it off because I'm done.
Yeah, I find myself getting more nostalgic about songs I used to hate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like in the night. Well, I worked radio in the 90s, right? So I got sick of songs very fast.
Sure.
I would play a song 1,000 times before you heard it 5 times, pretty much. And so I would get sick of songs. So I hated Soundgarden. I hated Alice in Chains. I hated that stuff, even though I played it constantly. And now I look at it nostalgically, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go buy the Gin Blossoms Greatest Hits now, or something like that.
That's so funny, Chris. I'm in the same vein of like, I remember like even like modern English where like the songs that were overplayed back then, you'd be like, you're like, it's not even my favorite song on the album. Now that song kind of resonates. And it's funny you say Alice in Chains because I've been playing Wood.
Great song.
So good. Yeah. Back then, you're like, they played I was in San Diego then in 91X.
Oh, wow.
Just played it over and over.
Oh, yeah.
They're still playing it. 91X. And I don't know if you ever go to San Diego, they haven't changed. It's still like, hey, here's some more Red Hot Chili Peppers. We got it, dude. We got the Chili Peppers.
It's not even the new Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's
under the bridge. We're still under the bridge.
Under the bridge all the time. Constantly.
I like how Kaler tries to play cool. He was born around the time Beethoven was just peaking, and now he's all into like 90s hard rock. Get out,
dude. Beethoven and I went to school together. Did you know that?
Ludwig van.
And I kept yelling at him, and finally everyone was like, "He's deaf. Leave him alone." Jeez. I go, "Whatever, nerd."
Dick move, Kaler. Nice.
Dick move, nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm older. I'm older than.
That's okay. You look great. That's all that matters.
You do, you
Here's
jerk.
the song for me, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. But when my daughter Claire was born, for some reason I was in a Pet Shop Boys phase, and "Love Comes Quickly" catches me now because the whole song's about love. Love comes quickly. You don't know why, it just hits you. And so whenever I hear that song, my daughter Claire resonates in my head.
There you go. Very nice.
Love comes quickly is what my wife thinks about with me as well.
Boom.
I was going there.
I set him up. He knocks him down.
Dad jokes, crack.
That
She
was
just
well played, David. You were
changed
you
the
didn't miss
lyrics
a
to
beat there.
to Dave comes quickly. In whatever you do. So funny.
Speed is.
It is
you know,
funny as you grow
time
older.
is slipping away. Yeah.
I play music all the time in the
Same.
house.
Same.
I mean, most of the time it's to keep the voices in my own head at bay.
can see
But
that, yeah.
I play music all the time.
It's always in the
There's
background.
always like somewhere. Yeah, it's always in the background somewhere. Even and
Yep.
if not that, like a TV. Like I'm one of those guys. I like sound.
Yeah.
I like a sound machine at night when I sleep. I like.
Same.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that stems from when I was a kid. I always had music on. My parents always played music in the house, and it was always on in the background. So I just grew up with that. It's what I became used to. It's what I'm comfortable with. And so now, yeah, I turn on the speakers in the kitchen in the morning when I wake up. There's always something going on the computer or whatever. Yeah, there has to
How'd
be
you get into DJing, man?
I started as a theater major of all things. I said I wanted to act, and I wanted to perform, and things like that. But I wasn't very good on that. But everyone always told me I had a great voice. So I was like, you know what, let me give this a try. And I always loved music. So I kind of started at the college radio station, which was only a KTV music channel. Weird. But then the guy that came on after me introduced me to his friend who worked at the radio station, and the rest is history. And I did that for like the next decade.
Not to go back, but Narcolepsy goes, Jamie nicknamed him Masturbate Oven. Oh, that's got to be one of the best jokes tonight. That's really funny.
Chris, it looks like we walked the same path, Chris. I too was a college radio DJ, and then did parties and weddings as a DJ, and just kind of rolled it into.
You've got that voice.
Wait, you were a wedding DJ, Dave? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, in Winona, Minnesota, but it didn't take much to be a wedding DJ back in Winona.
Boombox, that's pretty much it.
Boombox, schmoombox. I had like the little cassette player, my Walkman. That's why we all need white noise at night, guys, because years of Walkman crappy headphones jacked to the lip, that's given us that need to have, you can't have silence, right? That's me. If it's silent, it almost hurts my head. But I'll tell you, coming up now, music wise, I'm really psyched because my kids have always been very open about it. When my son turned 18, he goes, Dad, I know music means a lot to you. I'd like to see some bands with you. And I said, well, it's funny. I'm going to go see this band, the Fab Four, who was this amazing Beatle cover band. And he goes, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. And he goes, Dad, that was amazing. What can we see next? And his birthday was in a few weeks. And so he would be 18, and Billy Idol was playing at First Avenue at an 18+ show. Cool. So I got him tickets to see Billy Idol, then Duran Duran, and then the top of the list, Bruce Springsteen came to town.
Wow.
Is that when you went to New York?
No, this was almost 8 years ago now. My son's 25, but he goes to the Springsteen concert with me, shows up with the white t-shirt and the Levi jacket with the sleeves cut off and a headband, and he goes, all right, old man, let's see what you got. And we get in there, and 2 hours, 30 minutes into the deal, my son's got his hands in his hair, and he goes, this guy's freaking amazing. Where does he have this energy? Because Springsteen was like 65 at that point.
And it's still like a 4-hour show or something.
Oh, yeah. It was almost 3 hours long. But I got to take him to all of those and have just had an amazing time. And I love that my kids, although that my music is not always theirs, they've got their own.
Yeah.
I check their playlists and they've got Beatles and Monkees and Springsteen and Prince and Police. Yeah. So I've weaved into their lives.
There you go. That's fantastic. I'm still trying to get my daughter, into some of the music that I listened to and grew up listening to, but she's still like gearing towards pop and the like current pop stuff, which is fine as long as she likes music. That's really all I want her to get into.
What are you trying to get them into, Chris?
How old is she?
She's 10. She's 10.
How are you? Who are you trying to get her into? Like, what are your favorite bands from your youth?
Well, my comfort zones are, 90s alternative, 90s indie rock. I really like, like down-tempo electronica, like Sneaker Pimps and, Morcheeba and, Portishead and, stuff like that. And I grew up listening to the Ramones and the Jim Carroll Band and Elvis Costello and Patti Smith, because that's the music my parents played when I was a kid.
Oh no, that was the music I played when I was a kid. That's
There
all.
you Well, yeah, I grew up listening to all that, and so all that
Yeah.
was the genesis of the modern alternative music that I played in the 90s when I was on the radio. So it's
Yeah.
all like this growth thing, and now there's nothing that I can really, relate to musically. So that's why I'm getting nostalgic about the stuff I used to play. So
Dude, I played Portishead. Roads is the song
yeah,
Roads, I think it is. One of my favorite songs of all time.
so good. Check out their
and-
live album, Live in New York. It's
Oh,
it's
they're
it's so good.
They're so good. And it was, I don't know if you know, David Lynch does the weather. Do you know there's you can call a number and David Lynch does the weather every morning. David Lynch, the
Wow.
director from like Blue
Wow.
Velvet. He's like,
Okay.
this is David Lynch, beautiful LA. And so they played a lot of times on NPR. They played in the morning and they play
that's hilarious.
David Lynch is like, it's like 2 minutes and he talks a little bit about the city of LA and the weather. And he goes, today's weather kind of made me think of a song. And the other day he goes, today I was thinking about Portishead Roads. And I was like, oh, because if you watch his movies, the dude's, his music's so good. Like I'll play sometimes and that dude just passed away who did the music for, what was his big Fire Walk with Me? What was the movie?
Twin Peaks, Fire
Twin
Walk with Me.
Peaks.
Yeah.
So the theme song from Twin Peaks, that like bum bum bum, whatever he had,
Okay.
was from David Lynch's movie. And
Oh wow.
I'll play just that dude. Sometimes if I'm writing, I'll just play scores from movies that don't have any lyrics.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you'll hear it, you'll like hear this, you'll be writing it and you'll hear this music and you'll be like, in the back of your head, you're like, Last of the Mohicans or something, like something, it just pops and it's just the score, the musical score from it. A lot of times they have that on Apple Music where they just have all the different scores.
It's just the musical scores, right? You can find
Yeah,
playlists
it's
like that all the time.
Jomo had a good point. Like movies like Sing and Guardians of the Galaxy are great for throwback music that they wouldn't have otherwise taken any interest in.
Yeah.
You know what else is to the bane of my existence is Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yes,
My
you're not
daughter,
wrong.
she keeps playing Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I'm like, that was a good song. That is actually a really good song until Alvin and the Chipmunks took an axe to it, and now
Sorry about that, Jamie.
Yeah, that's pretty. Hey, Alvin!
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
That's a
They
good
gotta-
one. Sing and Guardians are good throwbacks, and I like hearing those too. I do really get a kick out of those, and it makes me look for more songs in those, like for Guardians, like the 70s rock and stuff like that. It makes me revisit that a lot, which I
Their
love.
soundtrack from the first
That was
Guardians of the
cool,
Galaxy, so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also because, and it's exactly what we're talking about. Those songs remind him of his mother.
Okay.
Because if you remember in the beginning, she's dying on Earth, and then he gets sucked up and goes to the galaxy or whatever. But all those songs, it was her playlist. It's his mother's
Awesome
playlist.
mix.
Yeah, you're right. And the second ones are all dad based. That's interesting.
That's right. That's right. So it's super funny, and it's exactly what we talk about. Where like my parents did not play music, but I'm the youngest of 6, so I inherited the Rolling Stones and Janis Joplin and all my older siblings. I remember having like the Jethro Tull Locomotive Breath Aqualung album as a kid or something.
I remember
my parents,
Heart played a lot at our house when I was a kid.
Heart's still, dude. I mean, nobody has a better voice than her. That's crazy.
Yeah, Heart's always good.
A few years ago, a band, God, who was it? Was it The Alarm? Do you remember The Alarm? They were like they were like a Clash copycat
A low budget
band.
Clash. Yeah.
Yeah, the 68 guns, whatever. They, you reach an age where nobody wants to hear your music because you're not 19. You're not cool anymore. So when this is a few years ago, they were older. And what they did is they cut a song and they hired 4 like 19-year-old models. And they shot the video of the song sung by the models. Just these really good-looking band-like guys singing this song, but it wasn't their song. It was the Alarm song. And the song went to #1 in England because of the video, because people saw the video, loved the dudes, and it blew up. And then they came out and they were like, yeah, that's our song. We're like 50 years old. And then people were like, we hate that song. And that's how life works. It's like the old George Michael song when he had, is it, God, what's the one? Is that Father Figure with all the models in it? Like,
no, that was Freedom.
Freedom. It's Freedom. You're right.
Yeah.
And he blows up the jacket. That's right. He blows up the jacket.
I'm
blows up the jukebox, burns the jacket, the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Robert Palmer videos with the hot models and the guitars and the backgrounds.
We wouldn't even know that dude's name if it weren't for those models. Those songs are pretty good, but those videos
there was
are
a dude in those videos?
Yeah. He was somewhere off
weird.
to the side, but yeah.
I'm
Wait,
going to
Jason,
see
what
the
what
Cure at
music
Soul.
video were you in? Bloodhound Gang, right?
I'm in a Bloodhound Gang video. That's right. It's the Wind Cries Mary. What's not the wind? What's it? And along came Mary. It's from How High, the movie with Dave Chappelle and Harlan Williams. And the
Okay.
Bloodhound Gang had a song in it, and I'm in the video. I'm the guy in the video. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually.
Oh,
It's
wow.
full
Sometimes I'll get
Kaler.
weird
He's just
calls.
bitching about everything at the beginning of the video. It's like he's not playing a character. It's just Jamie Kaler.
Hey, Jason, why? Why would you say that?
Is Kaler all? Is that a twisted sister pin on your uniform?
On your uniform,
Right?
What do you want to
You know
do
what's-
with your life?
You know what's awesome now, though, is that, and this is weird to say, but musicals have really found a way to take amazing music like Hamilton, the Beetlejuice musical, the Greatest Showman. They create these epic scores and soundtracks that everybody in my house will listen to and love. And you've got to give credit where credit's due. The geniuses that are able to take those. I mean, it's not, a spoonful of sugar kind of candy coated crap music. This stuff is powerful and so beautifully orchestrated and written that it's one of those things you can share with your kids and not feel weird about, and everybody's kind of on board with that music now.
Yeah, we just
I
saw
heard the Beetlejuice musical stuff.
I'm sorry, Chris, what was that? Jason was talking over you.
We just saw, sorry, we're talking over each other. We just saw Wicked on Broadway a few weeks ago, and so it's the same thing. We've been singing, popular from Wicked, for weeks.
Yeah,
So
there's a
they're making the movie
Beetlejuice.
finally. They're making Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I think, are doing Wicked.
Oh, I didn't know Ariana Grande was in it.
They're making Wicked, yeah. I still, to this day, with my 8-year-old, she makes me play. She'll watch Hamilton over and over again. She loves it.
Wow.
I think Hamilton is one of the greatest artistic achievements I've ever witnessed. Where I was like, wow, you know what, dude? That's really good. Really, that's really good. When you see something because I feel like as a creative person, I see something and I go, oh, yeah, that's genius. Every time I watch or listen to Hamilton, I'm always like, wow, it's really good.
Well, the music's so smartly, where the lyrics and everything is just so smart. It's great to hear.
Yeah, crazy.
For sure.
Hey, what else is going on? We're talking music for like the last couple hours, but there was crazy things going on. We talk sometimes about stuff going on. Did you see there was a TikTok challenge where they were getting kids to take like 10 Benadryls?
Anybody? Oh, and some kid just died from
that.
Yeah,
he died because he
like 10 or 12
he listened to a TikTok challenge that said, "Hey, take 12 Benadryls and you'll get dizzy."
Yeah, that's happened. There's been a few challenges like that, through
Well, there used to be the Tide Pod challenge where they like kids actually. I don't remember as that age being like, you know what, I'm gonna try a Tide Pod, see how that tastes. I just don't remember ever being that stupid.
No, it's
when you were a kid, Jamie, you would have had to take a cup of the actual powder, like the actual powders.
Dude, are you kidding me? They didn't even have washing machines. When I was a kid, I would have had to go out to a river and just smash my body on the rocks and use lye from one of the graves near me. That's what
I'm Jamie Kaler, and this is the washboard challenge. And then just start throwing yourself repeatedly against the rocks. Yeah, why don't kids smarten up with these stupid ass challenges where they're I'm gonna eat this or I'm gonna snort that. Why not, like when they're taking a mouthful of some insanely hot sauce, why not have 2 spoons, one with the sauce on it, and then dip it under, and then come up with like a spoon that's got ketchup, and then do the fake thing. Don't hurt yourself. Fake the pills. Fake it. You're going to have a bigger reaction and and everybody's going to be like, oh, it's so hilarious. Of course, you're still propagating doing stupid stuff. And everybody's going to think that dude took 22 Benadryl and he's still standing. And it was a bunch of Pez. So maybe that's a bad choice too. Kids are dumb today. They're just dumb as bricks.
Narcolepsy. We should create a challenge. Hey man, tonight we're gonna try to do our homework. What do you think?
It's crazy.
If we write
gonna
that sketch, that would blow up on TikTok.
Really
Jamie.
funny. We're gonna take one Benadryl and then we're gonna do our homework. Wait, what did he say?
And then we're gonna go to bed early. It's gonna be fantastic.
And read a book.
No, do the real homework challenge like we did. I used to do. We break out the Pixie Sticks and Jolt Cola.
There you go.
Drink Jolt Cola. Hit the
that?
Pixie Sticks when you had to do a full night of work, man. That sugar kept you burning.
That's how I know I would have never got killed because I never did that one either. The Pop Rocks or whatever and Coke Challenge or whatever. I never did that stuff.
I was always afraid. Because Mikey from the Life cereals apparently died from it.
That's right. He died repeatedly. And Leave It to Beaver was killed in Vietnam.
That's like urban legend with like Richard Gere and the gerbil and
is that though?
Is it? There's a lot of people were a lot of nurses were in the hospital that day who were officially reported that. Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of those urban legends and going back to the music, do you remember the urban legends surrounding Rod Stewart or Sir Rod Stewart? Yeah,
of course.
No, what was the urban legend? Remind me.
Who hasn't had their stomach pumped?
Yeah, he lost a bet to his band members and had to give an oral dissertation to each one and ended up having to have his stomach pumped. That was one of the...
that was also the same for Alanis Morissette was a similar urban legend.
Yeah, but that actually happened and Jamie and I were there.
I don't remember that one, but...
you would have been 72 at the time.
Oh, that's why. That was a bad year for me. I don't remember much from that year. That was
72 was a bad year.
No, Alanis. That was one of her. See, so these urban legends just moved from generation. It jumped from Rod Stewart to Alanis Morissette of all people. What a skip over Britney and Christina and go right to the angriest woman singer for a long time. Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to happen with TikTok? Do you think it seems to be the one thing that the left and the right are both agreed on? And I know that they are saying it's because it's a Chinese company. What's funny is that TikTok in China for kids is not like TikTok here. It's very educational.
It's all STEM stuff.
Yeah. And here it's all like, hey, have you eaten chalk yet? You should try it. It's pretty.
That's the educational part. They're like, this is what's going on in America. This is why you need to do your homework.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I'm eating a chalk stick. Right? So
Don't
it's
piss
all
in the
educational
toilet
for
ring
them.
challenge.
Yeah.
You guys are hilarious. I don't know. It's crazy because it's such, we're such fear mongers now because you can't help but turn on any news or any website and it's like, are you safe? I mean, kids are like pulling up to the wrong house and everyone's shooting.
Oh, man.
So listen, we don't really talk about guns at all, but I will say that they had the woman, Christine Noem or whatever her name is. She's a politician from, I want to say Montana or Wyoming, whatever. And so she spoke at the NRA and I'm, I don't care about guns. I'm former Navy, whatever it is. But she bragged about the fact, she goes, well, I got a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old's already got a shotgun and a rifle. And I was like, I get it. You're talking to the NRA. Would you give a 2-year-old a pair of scissors? Would you give a 2-year-old? I mean, I don't remember giving a 2-year-old like anything remotely dangerous, let alone a shotgun. So when somebody
45
goes,
and people don't have
I'm
me
not sure
firearms.
a 2-year-old needs a shotgun, right?
Depends on if there's any wascooey wabbits around.
That's true. I mean, if it's Elmer Fudd is a 2-year-old, but I was amazed when. Like that was her, and people were like, "Yeah!" People were like applauding, and I was like, "Listen, man, I appreciate the Second Amendment, and I appreciate your rights to have a gun, but as a parent, do you really think a 2-year-old and a shotgun is a good combination?" I mean, I'm afraid to give the kid. I wouldn't give the kid a Sharpie marker. I remember having to take toothpaste to get crayon off the wall. Is a 2-year-old with a shotgun?
There's a reason we give them spoons and forks with rounded edges.
Yeah,
I know.
Everybody's going to get poked. Why give them a shotgun?
Well, we put cushions on, the edge of pointy edged tables. I'm not going to let them run with scissors, let alone.
So I honestly, now I almost want to call her out and say, all right, listen, I want to see your 2-year-old fire a shotgun. Because I fired a shotgun. It kicks. It kicks very hard.
It
It's
kicks.
it's a shotgun. It's pretty powerful. And for a
Yeah.
2-year-old to shoot a shotgun, I feel like it's just a stupid brag. I feel like it's over like ridiculousness.
And shouldn't that be considered abuse? Because it's gotta hurt. Every time I've shot a shotgun, I end up with bruises.
Look what it used to do to Grandma Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies. Knocked her on
it
her
was
ass every time.
Granny.
Sorry,
That's
you're right.
right. It did knock Granny on
Blow her
her.
right out of the chair every time.
That's right.
Well, maybe that's why she had a rifle as well, because once the shotgun really hurt her shoulder, then she would just go back to the rifle. I don't know.
Much less kick.
But it's like, listen, I get the argument between everybody about that stuff, but when you start to go like, "Hey, my 2-year-old," you're like, okay, is the hyperbole maybe a little amped up on this one? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's when you tune out.
Oh, she got a standing ovation. Ovation.
But our kids are a different commodity today than they ever were. And if you think I'm wrong, go look at the any kind of Halloween catalog for children's costumes. It's unbelievable.
When you have like Sexy Elmo or something like that, or
no, I dig Sexy Elmo. Yeah,
I mean, Sexy Elmo's pretty balls.
No, but when you've got little girls that look like they're between the ages of 7 to maybe 12, blown out hair, made up, all these outfits that you're like, I would never let my daughter at any age go out dressed like that. You're just being a prude.
I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and the fashion in her school right now for girls, as everything is cropped up. She really wants to go to school showing, her belly button. She wants to have that crop top because it's what's in and it's what's popular. And my wife and I are just like, no, you will not do that ever. Actually, even when you're older.
Chris, that the minute she walks down the street, she's rolling her shirt up.
Yeah, she's rolling up. I know, but I don't see it. It's out of my control.
Right.
When she's in my sight, I don't want to see it.
Did you guys watch the Brooke Shields documentary, Pretty Baby?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay, you're all a little bit younger than me, but when I was a kid, she's like almost. I actually did Suddenly Susan with her. One of my first guest stars. I was on Suddenly Susan with her, Judd Nelson, Warren Zevon, and Rick Springfield was on that week. It was crazy. It was a crazy week. And this is totally random, but there was another guy, Chris, who was one of the other regulars on it. And I don't know if you remember the story. He took his own life the next week. And the whole week I was watching this guy on that show going like, because I was just trying to be an actor and he was so funny and so great. And the whole week I was like, oh, what a lucky cat. Like that guy. It was like a big wake up call about like acting and your own personal life or whatever. But I had such a mad crush on her as a kid. Like she was.
Oh yeah.
She still is beautiful.
She's still gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. But she was, and it's funny in the documentary, they talked about the fact that back in that day, there was a handful of people who were super famous and everyone on earth knew them. Everybody. Yep. Mm-hmm. Brooke Shields was arguably one of the most famous people on the planet. She could go anywhere and you'd be like, Brooke Shields. She was also like 14 years old and like topless in a pair of Calvin Kleins at 14 being like, the only thing I wear, the only thing on my skin is Calvin Klein or something. Like it's so
the only thing that comes between me and my jeans.
Really creepy. Yeah. But they were talking about the fact that nowadays there's millions of famous people. None of us know them.
Exactly.
None of us know there's millions of famous people. But back then there was 8 famous people and everybody knew them. But how young, I don't think it ever really hit me how young she was, because now my daughter's 9 and she's like, and even at 9 they have photos of her like in Pretty Baby. I want to say she's like,
she was 11 in Pretty
14.
Baby.
Was she 11? Yeah. Like it's crazy.
But crazy. She was 9 in that book when she was completely naked. And again, I know it's different times, but at what?
Dude, there are totally. So there are a photographer. And she talks about it, and you have to watch the doc. She talks about it. The photographer took nude photos of her, totally nude, and not like a kid nude, like standing in a bathtub. They show them, they blur them out or whatever.
Yeah, she's like leaning against the wall of the bathtub.
Very seductive, very naked.
Yeah.
And when she becomes super famous, I don't even know. So they go to court. She takes the guy to court to say, you can't, these are mine. But he owned them and she lost. She lost the court battle. And then, but I was like, how can he publish those without child pornography laws? The whole thing was so confusing to me.
Because it was under the guise of art.
Art. He sells them. You couldn't do it now. I think it would be illegal.
Oh, no. No.
But back then they had this kind of thing of like, oh, which I mean, part of me is like nudity. Like I like the French style of like, I wish we could like be more comfortable with our nudity.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? But she was totally sexualized at that point, at that young age.
You can't ever do that when you have, you know, people complaining about the statue of David, you know?
Right.
Chris,
I like your art, Dave.
Did you see that story, Jason? Is that Florida?
Yeah, Florida.
So they're teaching about art and they show the naked statue of David, arguably the most, I mean, it's got to be the most famous statue on earth, maybe?
Yeah.
Pretty close to it.
Arguably one of the most famous pieces of art on the planet.
Ever. And he's nude. And honestly, it's a very large statue of David. And he's not, it's not even well endowed. I mean, he's
not proportionate.
It
was a cold day.
It was a cold day in Rome, I believe. Yeah. I believe it was cold. The marble was very cold that day.
Very cold, yeah.
But they had the teacher fired, I believe, for showing that they said it was pornography, showing it in school.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
I mean, we're just reaching a point where it's like we don't know what to do anymore.
I used to think Idiocracy was just a movie, but we're headed there.
Yeah. The thing about that is like not a lot of people complained. It was like 2 people in the of the parental, you know, populace of that district or whatever complained, and they, you know, everyone was up in arms about it.
Well, they get so worried because they're afraid those 2 voices are going to catch fire, and that's you know.
Yeah,
that's
can we just snuff out their? Can we just snuff out their torches and vote
this
them
is
off
what
the island?
I've always said. This is the real problem with the internet and social media is that it gave every single person a voice. I remember the days when you really had to work hard to get your voice out there.
Now
you like had to like print your own little fanzine or whatever you were doing, man. You had to go do something. Nowadays, you can just get
Taylor, you had to get out there and print your own fanzine.
Your fanzine.
Like on what's that called? A mimeograph machine, right? Nowadays, people like everyone has an opinion, and a lot of people shouldn't have opinions. A lot of people shouldn't have children. A lot of maybe a couple of us should probably not have had.
Oh my gosh, we get blown up for just posting simple videos of our kid, like me with my kids with the mini pony, and Jamie when you fed Claire cottage cheese. Like we both got blown up for those.
Oh yeah, I posted a video because I got mad because my daughter asked me to buy cottage cheese in the grocery store. We got home and then I served her cottage cheese and she goes, "I hate cottage cheese. I'm not eating this." And I was like, "You wanted this," and then somebody was like, "How can you make your child eat cottage cheese when they don't want to eat it, man? What kind of monster are you?" Like, whatever, man.
Yeah, everyone has a voice, you know, no matter how stupid.
Yeah, people are stupid.
And it's unfortunate, and like I said, it's so easy to do anonymously behind a keyboard. You know, it's everyone gets this courage.
But it's not just that now. People are out in the street being idiots.
Well, that's true.
They have no problem facing you and telling you you're wrong because they're right, and here's why.
You're definitely emboldened.
That's why I love that. I don't know if you saw the news today, but Fox paid $787 million
almost
Dominion.
$1 billion. Yeah.
And here's what's funny. I put on Fox News for a while today. Never mentioned it once. Never brought it up. They don't have to post. They don't have to. They never have to print a retract. That was part of the deal. It was supposed to go to court, and they all settled. And then they don't have to print a retraction. They have to print anything else. But you knew when that woman was up there saying garbage, whatever her name is, that she was criminally insane from minute one. And they all knew it. They knew she was criminally insane. They say it behind the scenes, and then it cost them almost $1 billion, which makes me laugh so hard about the whole situation.
Throw a lot of money at it.
That's what they did.
And it goes
it's the same way, dude. For Bill O'Reilly paid $42 million out in like sexual harassment charges.
Yep.
Under the table. They all did. It's so the whole system's so broken. Anyway. What else do we? I guess, dude. Here's what's funny. I have got to put my kids to bed. It's like,
yeah, that's fair.
I know.
Now, where are you, Jamie? Where are you? Are you?
I'm in Southern California.
Oh, you're in Southern California. Okay, same.
He's close to you guys.
I'm very close to you, Chris. I'm like, I could be there in about 10 minutes.
You're down the road. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Actually, Chris, if you go open that door behind you, you'll find Jamie.
I'm right here.
He's in my guest
house. He's in the house.
He's in the closet, right?
I'm in my recording studio. All right, here's the last topic I'll tell you, and then we'll get out of here on this. I saw something by Dave Ramsey, who's acts like he's the dick who's like, stop spending money. What are you spending money for? You need to save or you're not going to make it. He's kind of a jerk, but he's right. He says, which I totally agree with, that people should stop paying their bills for their adult children. Schrader, you're the only one here with adult children. Do you pay your kids' bills?
You know, I've helped on a few occasions, but really only in the scantest ways. But
have they helped you? Have they ever helped you? You had a rough month?
I don't want to go on record saying anything right now. No, I don't. But I don't ask. But other parents have.
Have they?
So I pride myself on the fact that I will eat Alpo before I will call one of my kids and say, "Hey, buddy, can you spare a dime?" I just, I kind of feel like, listen, I gave them a good life. I will never have any money. I will never retire because I've raised 11 children. There's no money to be had. So I will be working until the day I fall into the earth, and that's it.
Don't worry,
but
Dave. That's not going to be much.
It.
Don't worry. You don't have much longer. Don't worry about it.
Not with this belly. Not with this belly. No, it's but I've seen other parents tap their kids, and listen, my kids are great and in positions. My son right now is in the military. He's got an engineering degree. He's flying big shots around the world in helicopters. He's pulling it down. And I've always said, you're my retirement fund, right? I'm going to live in your basement. And he laughed. But I always said, I thought 11 kids, this made fair sense. As I got older, I'd sell my house and then I just go stay with one kid a month throughout the year, and I'll pay their mortgage and their utilities for that month to let me stay there, see my grandkids, spend time with my kids, and then move on. Just around a month, you're starting to it's time for the old man to go. And then I'm on to your brothers. And I just keep moving.
On that 12th month, you can just hit like a local homeless shelter for like 30 days, whatever.
I will just go to a silent room.
Kid one again. Yeah.
They'll probably bring you in for at least like Christmas Day. So, I mean, you do okay.
I know a lot of people who are paying bills for their kids. And I know a lot of people whose parents are paying them.
Okay.
Like money.
How do I get in on
I'm always like, really? Like my parents didn't pay for college. They were like, we don't have any money.
No, mine either.
I was
on my own. I think once or twice I asked my parents for money while I was in college. When I got out of college, I think maybe a couple times briefly, but in general, no. I've always been on my own.
Yeah,
and I refuse to ask them, for money.
Well, he says what Ramsey's point is that you're not helping them. Mm-hmm. They need to learn. On their own. And I kind of agree with it. But I mean, how, if all of a sudden your kid's like, I'm not going to make rent this month. I mean, do you go like, well, stop spending money and go get a job? I don't know what to tell you. Because then you're a jerk and the kid's like, well, fuck you, Dad.
Well, as long as it doesn't become, their monthly rent payment is going to you.
Yeah, I can see what Chris is saying.
Like every once in a while, yeah, it's okay to throw them a bone. If they legitimately need help. Or as long
as we all stumble, yeah,
exactly. Also, not doing something stupid like gambling their money away or whatever, within reason, I think.
But I think that they rely on it because what do you mean you stumble? Like I've stumbled. My parents didn't bail me out. Like that's what I'm saying.
Well, but we love our children though, Jamie. So that's the difference.
It wasn't that they didn't love me. My father sold cars and raised 6 kids. I mean, to be honest, he did the best he could. Yeah, I do think though it's like this bailout system of like I remember when I first got here, there was a girl in an acting class, and I was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And she goes, "I'm an actor." And I go, "Oh, okay. What are you in?" She goes, "Oh, I did a college film recently," and she'd never worked, but she was driving like a Beamer. Her dad had bought her an apartment in L.A., and I was like, "Oh." And then the more I was in acting, the more I saw that because it's really a rich kid sport. It's really tough. It's tough business, especially nowadays. I mean, to have like a living as an actor, you can't. There's no commercial money anymore or anything. But yeah, it's great.
Right. Well, a lot of people are trying to bank on that social media money.
It's the only way to make it nowadays. Kids go, how do you get in the business? I go, build a fan base, man. That's really the only way I think nowadays is start a YouTube channel.
Get that number up.
Yeah.
This is, if you are slightly attractive, you can make a ton of money. And even if you're not, if you play on the absurdity of who you are, you've got people that have got 8.7 million followers, and then you go look at Al Pacino's Facebook and he's got 32,000, right? It's just crazy to me that like you said, there are so many famous people none of us will ever know.
None of us ever know. And they're making so much money. I bought a pineapple today at Trader Joe's, and the kid, what's the little kid, his world? Ryan's World.
Oh, Ryan's World.
He was on my pineapple. He's on my kids on my pineapple. I go, why is my pineapple in Ryan's World? He's the kid who unboxed toys and made $24 million last year.
8-year-old millionaires. It's ridiculous.
I mean, like multi-millionaire. And he's like, hey, buy a pineapple. I go, dude, get off my pineapple, man.
You didn't grow this pineapple, Ryan.
Yeah, it's not even, and you don't open it's not like a present. It's just a pineapple. What are you doing on my pineapple, dude?
Jamie, it's just the same as Flintstone chewable vitamins. He's popular with the kids. So if he's saying, look at this pineapple, it's not direct. You realize it's not directed to Jamie Kaler, who's on the fence about pineapple and goes, well, if Ryan likes it, it's more for your kids that are like, I want cottage cheese.
Right? I almost didn't buy it because I was like, I don't want a pineapple anymore.
Stupid
Ryan. All right, listen, we've been on that. We're doing this for 90 minutes. I gotta wrap.
Honestly, if we don't end on pineapple, what are we even doing here?
I don't know. I'm gonna slice up that pineapple in the morning though for my kids. It's gonna be fantastic. Chris Bricker was here tonight. Chris, where can they find Brooker Family Popcast?
Brooker Family Popcast, we just wrapped up our first season, getting ready to launch the second one very soon. You can find it at anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Pandora. It's all out there. Please give a listen, give a subscribe, and give a like. Many likes.
Well, you were absolutely delightful, and we love Heather. So please come back and play.
Thank you. I love
Dave Schrader. Oh, there's Heather. Oh, love this, you guys. Yeah, honestly, now we don't need Heather anymore. Now we have Chris.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Tell us what's happening. Where can we?
Not much.
Where do people need to go to find you and see what you do?
Underneath the bridge, holding a sign that says "We'll hunt ghosts for food." You can check out the Paranormal 60 podcast. Check me out until my TV show things get back in line and we start filming again. Other than that,
sounds great.
I'm just doing YouTube. So thanks for having me, guys.
Super fun show tonight, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for chiming in. Really funny jokes. Narcolepsy, Jobo, Joey Steelers, Freddie B, Brandon. All the gang was here tonight. It was super fun. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, do all that shenanigans. And we are going to do another metaverse show pretty soon. We're going to do a big hang in the metaverse. So details to follow. We have a parents lounge in the metaverse. We're Ready Player One. It's coming.
Nice.
I guess that's about it. Jason, any words of wisdom? We didn't get into your family stuff, but I guess we're going to do that soon.
We can do it next week. You can catch new episodes of the podcast on Mondays and Thursdays on iTunes, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Be good. Have fun with those crazy kids, and we'll see you guys next week in the Parents Lounge.